Mike Eller, on paper, this is a kind of intriguing match. I would say out of 10, how interested and surprised that you're getting Sami Zayn versus Bron Breakker for the Intercontinental Championship.
I'm about a 7. I think
Okay.
it's a pretty cool feud. I think the Gable thing was really good with Sammy, but I think they played it out as much as they could, and it looks like Gable's moving on to other things anyways. With Breaker, I kind of like that they're going this way. I didn't want them to really do Money in the Bank and have him win and then be around a world title contender. There's nobody better than to work with than Sami Zayn. So, uh, it's not this feud that's changing the company or anything like that. But I still think it's really good.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I think that the outcome is extremely interesting. I think that the pivot of whatever they do is extremely interesting for both characters, and yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised what we got here. I wanted Gable to win, nothing against Sammy, but I just felt that Chad Gable kind of warranted it, earned it, and I wanted that for him. But I think Sammy's been a pretty good Intercontinental Champion, and I like Sami Zayn, and I think him beating Gunther is like a feather in his cap that he didn't need, but definitely adds to the investment that they have in Sami Zayn. So, how do you feel about Sami Zayn's title reigns? I don't know what 3, 4, 5 months since WrestleMania.
Yeah, I would say you're not Gunther's is like an all time title reign. So you're
Yeah,
not gonna that's like a 10 out. If that's a 10 out of 10, I don't know. This isn't for 4 months. I think it's almost as good as it can be. If you want to say one negative is he's only had one challenger. Really, I mean, you put in Bronson
agreed.
Reed
Yeah, pretty
there,
much.
yeah. But really, Gable's been the one feud, and we can get into that later. But I'm guessing this is going to be um, probably the last feud he has with it. But I've liked it. I mean, he's done great. The Intercontinental Championship still means something after losing, after Gunther dropped it. So I don't. If you lose it to anybody, Gunther losing it to Zayn was great.
Yeah, for Breaker, right? Say Breaker goes on to win Saturday night. It's like, geez, look what this Intercontinental Championship did to Gunther, right? And Bron Breakker is that A tier of a talent, S tier of a talent, of a main event potential guy down the line. And this is very 80s, 90s, where they use the Intercontinental Championship to propel a guy that they like a Shawn Michaels, like a Bret Hart, like a Macho Man Randy Savage, up the card, present them in the upper mid card, and really get them for a main event scene. And I'm really glad that they've brought that back to the Intercontinental Championship. Do you agree with that sentiment, Mike?
100%.
Yeah.
I think we were talking this back on when I was a guest on Clotheslines and Headlines a couple of years ago, how Gunther could really elevate the title. And I know this isn't about Gunther. I know we've been talking about him a lot, but um, you had a lot of intercontinental title reigns in the 2000s and 2010s, just guys that they
Ezekiel
put.
Jackson.
Is he
What do we
Wade Barrett? I love Wade Barrett, but 5
Curtis
runs.
Axel,
There we
like,
go.
what do
Um,
what are we doing, guys? Yeah,
yeah, where the title was supposed to elevate them, they didn't elevate the title.
yeah. So
And it,
the title's in a great spot where it's used to elevate a guy, and guys are elevating the title like we saw with Gunther. So yeah, I think it's been fantastic so far underneath the Triple H umbrella, and that is probably one of the low key best things that he's done as a head booker is really redefine this Intercontinental Championship because look at it did a whole lot for him. The Rock, him, it was very pivotal in his rise. So he's very keen on the Intercontinental Championship as he should. All right, let's talk outcome here.
okay.
Let's take a fork in the road first, and let's say that Braun Breaker wins the Intercontinental Championship. What if I told you it was in 90 seconds? Would that be more impactful, or would it be more impactful if he went out there and say had a 9-minute banger?
If he wins I'd rather it be 90 seconds. If he wins on
Yeah,
Saturday, if he was a title, I don't want. We know that they can have good matches. It's
yeah,
not. We know we've seen Breaker, and a lot of people have seen Breaker in NXT for 2 years. They know he's good. Everybody knows Sami Zayn's good. We don't need a great match to tell the story. The story is if you're putting the belt on him, have him destroy Zayn. Maybe have a
yeah,
match later too.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely depth that they can go, but the shock and the awe of, think the Ultimate Warrior and the Honky Tonk Man at the '88 SummerSlam, right?
Hmm.
Why not do that in a more modern version? Now, Sami Zayn definitely is not the Honky Tonk Man in the long term, but for Sami Zayn to be a quote unquote transitional champion for 4 months, from a historical Gunther win to a Bron Breakker propel, I think that's very warranted for Sami Zayn, and it's ultimately never going to do damage to him. Look at where he was before the Bloodline, losing to Johnny Knoxville and doing whatever he was before then, floating in the mid card and being pretty much a comedy act or a tag wrestler or a leader of a mid card shitty group, right? So
Yeah.
he is bulletproof. He is ultimately mega talented, and the sky is the limit for Zayn. And even if he went out here and lost in 90 seconds, so to speak, he'd be totally fine, and it would literally make Bron Breakker.
Yeah. And then maybe give Zayn a month or two off.
They may want to get this belt off him and have some distance for, say, Survivor Series War Games, so to speak. But let that. We're not going to go too far down there. Now let's go down the Sami Zayn path, right? Sami Zayn continues to win. I think that last night they established on Raw that Breakker can be vulnerable if he were to slip on a banana peel, like crashing into the steps, right? In the last few weeks, he's had great success where he's had that sprinting sprint around the ring, and that with the gore that would break him in half, and it looks fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So Breakker kind of slips on a banana peel / Sami Zayn being super keen and knowing it's coming and jumping over him, and he's kind of caught. Is there a way where that was a prelude to Sami Zayn catching a rookie Bron Breakker, a green Bron Breakker? Maybe Bron Breakker needs to take a step back and slow down a little bit before he jumps up the card, and that's a character realization of the finish of this match, is for him to kind of realize that here, so to speak, because he's still him being presented on this card, because Money in the Bank is like an A- pay-per-view in an Intercontinental title match. In his first singles match, he's still being propelled and propped up, and for him to slip, would that mean more than him to go out there and crush Sammy? What do you think?
That's what I kind of want. I'm not going to be outraged about either way it goes, but I was thinking, especially with the promo yesterday, he goes for the spear, smashes his arm into, I don't know, smashes his shoulder in the ring pad. Sammy gets him, curls him up 1, 2, 3, something like that. And then Braun beats him at SummerSlam. That's what I was kind of anticipating it would go, but I don't know. What do you think about that?
I'll give my final prediction at the end, because it's
Okay.
kind of it's very Ryan Gray-ish, if you know what I mean.
I
That
can't
sometimes
wait.
they're like pie in the sky. It's like, oh, that motherfucker pulled that out of his ass. Or what the hell is that idiot talking about? Very, very. That's what I'm going for, just to be a little precursor there. But I think I don't know. I think it's somewhere in between. I know I talked fork in the roads. I think it's the middle prong where we get something in between. I don't think it's 90 seconds, but if Breakker were to win, I prefer the 90 seconds, even though just because of the shock of the aura, I think it would mean much more than going out there and having a 9 to 12 minute quote unquote banger, right? Because everyone
Yeah.
has fucking bangers nowadays, right? But with Zayn, I think he has to win on a banana peel slip, or outsmarting Braun, or making Braun become a little bit humbled by being way too fast and kind of finding his own footing on the main roster because he's going a mile a minute or whatever, and he gets caught. I think that's the only lane that Zayn wins. In either way, I think either path is strong and good for the Intercontinental Championship. But with saying that, Mike, let me get your prediction for finally before I give mine and we get out of here.
Yeah. I'm going Sami Zayn win. They go, I don't think they're going to do 90 seconds. I think they're going to be more along the lines of 6, 7 minutes. Just figuring they've got 18 minutes, maybe 18, 20 minutes for each Money in the Bank match. That 6-man tag is going to be probably maybe pretty overbooked.
18-ish, yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be okay with, out of the 5 matches, just going a little bit shorter. And what we talked about, I think Zayn is going to show that he's crafty. He's going to get destroyed by Breakker, but he's going to end up winning.
Yep, I dig that. And my prediction is that the men's Money in the Bank match opens the show. Perhaps Chad Gable is your winner, and then he cashes in here and gets his Intercontinental Championship after a Breakker spear, and I don't know, maybe the Creeds come out and take out Bron Breakker, and then Gable kind of pick up the scraps on Zayn in a triple threat or something like that. I think that's my prediction
Okay.
for that's my prediction for this match. I think it's very pie in the sky. I think it's big, very big hopes and dreams. But Chad Gable's goal was to win the Intercontinental Championship, and that fits perfect with his new character.
There we go. I dig it. I'm going to be waiting for it on side. You better be right.
I better be getting a text message right after with a Barry Horowitz pat on the back.
Yeah,
There, my
you'll
dog.
be getting that.
Well, last time you were on, you broke news that you're having twins. Any more life-altering news for the listeners?
Thank goodness, no more life-altering news. Thank goodness, but no, I love being on these shows. I love talking wrestling, especially how awesome WWE is now.
Yes.
And no, I'm on the Cronoso monthly and on
Great
these
show.
every once in a while. It is a great show. Please listen.
All right, Mike. It was fun as always, and thank you, buddy.
All right, thank you, Ryan.